Well, we are at the last phase of this beautiful May, bookended by full moons. First, the Scorpio full moon, and then on the 31st will be the Sagittarius full moon. This phase is a quarter moon phase between the Virgo moon and Gemini Sun. That's double Mercury, both, trying to look at the camera here. Both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury. The phrase that keeps coming to mind is get information. Think of the word information. That's Mercury. Language, communication, bits, breaking it down into bits. And in Virgo, it's organizing and tidying and perfecting all of that information. Also grounding it, because Gemini is an air sign, Virgo is an earth sign. So they are both doing different things with Mercury. In Gemini, this is the first appearance of Mercury in the zodiac. So it's airy, it's out there, it's a little subversive, young, 𝘬𝘵𝘃𝗀𝘃𝗀. This is a term that's coming up a lot because we are most definitely going through a period of arrested development. We skipped a lot of steps to maturity, and we're having to go back and heal our inner children, our inner teenagers, and express all the things that we were just told not to express, not to acknowledge, that we have to acknowledge. Men have gotten to have their Peter Pan syndrome, and now women are doing the same thing. And I don't know if we have an equivalent term for women. But part of that isn't just maturing beyond them, even. It's bringing them with us into our maturation. So like in the tarot, it begins with the Fool, the zero. You have to retain the spirit of the Fool throughout the entire journey, or you do it over again. You learn to integrate all of the energies, and you redo the wheel of samsara or the tarot or whatever system, all of the systems, until you have deeply accepted, because you could almost look at the ego as just the thing that rejects and rejects and rejects. You accept everything, and in so doing, you become free. You become permanently free-spirited, which does not have to forever look like the Fool or primordial Mercury. You can grow up in the spirit of those things and become something more refined in them. I actually just got finished, well, not totally finished, but I got the majority of my packing out of the way. I am going on vacation tomorrow, and I'm normally not so organized when packing, but I have kind of structured my day so that I honor first Aries, and then Taurus, and then Gemini, and then Cancer energy. Those are the first 4 appearances of each of the elements: fire, earth, air, and water. So my first 8 hours of the day are all lived according to those zodiac signs. And during the Gemini hours, from 8 to 10, I packed and I labeled, well, not labeled, but in my head, I packed with some level of organization. So we've got Virgo energy here. My Gemini time is my mental stimulation time. So I make sure that I am getting information, either learning something or organizing something, or, not just free for all thinking, like actually having some sort of objective, an aim for my thought, because Gemini will be all over the place. Just rambunctious and flirty and taking Taurus time, which is grounding in the body. Like, that's when I exercise. I get to feeling really in my body, and like I spend an hour on the mat, and I'm not allowed to leave the mat for that entire hour. I can do whatever I want on the mat, but I have to be in my body, not in my head. And that's it. So you ground before you conduct all that electricity in Gemini. So because I grounded, I was able to be very organized with my packing instead of just, this, maybe this, that, which is my normal style. And again, here we are at this quarter moon, which is Virgo, our second earth energy. And I did write, okay, happiness is replacing easy. What is easy? Even what feels most natural to us, replacing that with ease, easing into the difficult things, like structuring your day, like making sure that you have a point, an objective with everything you're doing. One thing I wanted to mention for this quarter moon, this double Mercury quarter moon, is that clarity is kindness. We can be kind and show love and perform acts of service until the cows come home. But if who we're intending to help doesn't need the help we're offering, it's totally fruitless. So we need to know what we can help with, what we are good at, what makes us feel good to do, because caring, giving, serving others, I don't believe that it amounts to anything if it is purely self-sacrificial. Like, I've been known to argue against altruism because I don't believe in one-way streets, period. I believe there should always be a sense of mutuality in everything. There are times for what we could totally call altruism. But even when you are doing that, when you are giving of yourself purely and self-sacrificially, You still know that you're doing it for a deeper purpose, or are doing it because you love, like you should be. That would be the proper way of doing it, instead of doing it from a sense of obligation and begrudging, like, I help, but I hate it. That's an impure connection. So just the responsibility of establishing the purity of the connection is the altruistic move. And then from there, it all just flows, and you don't know the difference between self and other. Giving to others feels like giving to yourself. So I guess altruism is just a concept where it just makes itself obsolete eventually. And I've started, when I mentioned Gemini earlier, I mentioned like conductivity. Like, I think the element of air has really become electricity to me. Like, we have the sign of Aquarius, right? It's the water bearer, and its symbol looks like waves, but they're kind of jagged. And to me, that has come to mean current, maybe ether, the fifth element, maybe not necessarily electricity, but we have to become the pure and clear and empty vessels, empty of ego, in order to conduct that pure electricity, even eros, you could call it this, eros, E-R-O-S, the erotic energy, which we have so distorted and so seen through just biological eyes, and the physical act of sex, which it's not. Anyway, eros, electricity, the fifth element, whatever we're working with here. It's beyond just the air that we breathe. What else am I trying to say? There's something else that wants to connect. Something about the silver cord. Like, this is the energy of the silver cord. At some point, I did begin to see eros as the silver threads, like beyond the red threads of fate, which are your karmic ties. When you are in dynamics with people that are repetitive, negative, ones that you can't seem to escape, that's the red thread, that's fate. That's not the silver thread and destiny. The silver thread is spun by yourself. Like, you become a kind of spider. You, instead of being the prey in the spider's web, leaving trails of blood and pain, you become a weaver of your own destiny. And you're working with this substance, this ethereal substance. Like, I automatically started working with this, in energy work. You will do exercises where you work with this invisible energy. And if you are just a totally modern, non-spiritual person, you feel really silly doing these exercises, playing with this invisible blah, 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 blah. But you feel it. it's so important to detach from the thought process, the mental process, and even the ego, which is attached to the body, which is thinking about how silly it might look. The purpose of me being on that mat for an hour is to feel so completely into my body and to actually work with this fifth element, this substance. And that makes me kind of want to say, like, we don't even have to define it. This is the substance of things hoped for, the future calling itself into existence, which in biological human life, sex is the mechanism. Eros, this silver stuff, is the stuff wanting to come in. And the stuff that is flowing through all of our connections that makes us feel good. That makes us feel good about being connected. That makes us feel good in our bodies. That makes us feel good throughout our whole day. And what we have done in the rational, objectifying, scientific, materialist world is reduce all of that expanse into just what happens in the bedroom. And what happens in the bedroom is obscene because people are having to do more and more extreme things to achieve sensation, not just in their bodies, in their hearts and in their minds. Because all of that we are compressing has an inverted expression. And that's all of the anxiety, misery, apathy, and pain that we're trying to numb or fuck out of our bodies and minds. And when you finally get on any kind of flip side of that whole downward spiral, I mean, it's a little horrifying that you could even have allowed yourself to experience that at all. And I don't know how I got this far, but I just feel like barely on the other side of all of that. Like able to take a step back from my own life and distance myself from any of the red threads, any of the painful cycles, any of the karma. And I am going to sit. It's a kind of moratorium, because you can't just jump out of all of that or any of that back into, or like straight into, healthy relationships. You are going to have to ease into the new life, your resurrected form. Okay, we have to die to our former selves. Repent. I kind of just see Venus as Jesus. Jesus himself described himself as the morning star or something. Lucifer also described himself as, or we gave Lucifer that description. So again, duality, Gemini. We have to die to this like inverted pentagram. We repent, Venus. We allow spirit, the fifth element, this substance of all things hoped for, to reign over our matter, our fire, earth, air, and water. And that's it. You just get flipped. If the saddle has fallen underneath the horse, then just get back to the top. Do what you gotta do. It's gonna be awkward and humbling and ego killing, and that's good. There are a couple terms for repent in the Greek, the original Greek or Hebrew or whatever. There's metanoia and 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏. Metanoia means to change one's mind, to actually be changed. Getting out of fate and into destiny is a change in your consciousness. You really, really, really have to absorb that fact. And it will feel like you've been reincarnated in your own body. There will be a lot of you that is still the same, because everything that we are going through in the matrix of the red threads of the karma, that is what built us. That is what built the basic structure of who we are, through adversity and through wounding. So it's not like you are going to be totally different. Like, I'm literally talking about you as Christ being killed and resurrected. Like, that is the process of becoming who you are. Jesus is not just a dude to follow. You do that when you need someone to follow, when you're lost in the red threads and in the maze, in the matrix. You follow that light, but eventually you have to become that light. And it's a serious metaphysical process. It's way more than just a belief or a thought or an opinion. And then 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏. Okay, so metanoia is to completely change your concept of what mind is, let alone your own mind. 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏 is a return, and also a turn around. Well, literally, to turn around. So you turn away from all of the former things. Put them away. Put them aside. Suspend. I was even looking at this card thinking, like, here's the silver thread, okay? And if you imagine it as a hammock, it's like that net that appears when you take a leap. Leap and the net will appear. You would be amazed what saves you when you make all of your moves out of faith and towards a hopeful future. All I know is that there is very much a crisis of hope at present. And I've spent most of my life trying to fight that. And I've just learned in this past 7-year journey how to fully release the fight and just be still in my own presence. And I can see another 7-year journey ahead for me where I'm still just learning the stability of that anchor. Like I'm still like going to be testing and refining my own stillness and surrender of my own will, not my will but thine. Like it gets, I mean, when you start to see your own will and God's will as completely intertwined, then again, like with altruism, like there are no separate interests there. Like there's nothing I could do for you which would take away from me if I'm truly doing it for you. When you see all best interests as united, I mean, what else is there to say about it? They just are. Okay, I think I have babbled long enough. Final thought. Happiness is, what did I say? Replacing easy. What is easy? What you're used to. What's habitual? Replace that. Replace convenience and casual relationship with easing into the difficult things. Okay,